Quality management in the blood bank. Blood banks must provide quality because we can quickly kill somebody if we don't. So we need to make sure that we provide a safe and satisfying donation experience for the blood donors, accurately labeled and tested blood components provided to transfusion services, timely, accurate transfusion services that are provided to physicians and other healthcare professionals, and safe blood transfusions to patients. For compliance versus quality management, so your compliance programs will evaluate how effectively your facility is meeting the requirements of these regulatory bodies like FDA, Joint Commission, CAP, and AABB. Then they do this by detecting errors, deficiencies, and any deviations from your policies or procedures or their guidelines. Then we have compliance inspections, and this measures the state of the facility's program with respect to the applicable requirements at a single point in time and are usually conducted every 1 to 2 years. For compliance, this requires the correction of identified deviations and deficiencies and usually leaves the facility with the false sense that it has solved its problems and is in compliance. So regulatory and accreditation inspections only find deviations and deficiencies after they have occurred. So they don't know what you're doing tomorrow if you didn't document your QC right or if you didn't record the temperature. They just know what you've done previous. Then we also have quality management, which is an active and continuous process, so the blood bank is always ready for an inspection. So the building blocks of quality are your quality control, quality assurance, and quality management systems. For quality control, we have individualized quality control plans. So this is an IQCP, and this is a modern approach to quality control in laboratory and blood bank settings, which focuses on risk assessment and customized control strategies to ensure high quality test results and patient safety. For the risk assessment, the purpose is to identify potential risks that could affect the accuracy and reliability of test results. Some factors to assess is we have the specimen, so we're going to evaluate specimen collection, handling, labeling, and storage processes to prevent errors. We're also going to look at the test system, so we're going to consider the analytical instruments, the methods, and procedures that were used for testing. And we're going to look at reagents, so review the quality storage and expiration of reagents that are used in the assay. We're also going to look at in the environment, which is to assess laboratory conditions such as temperature, humidity, and cleanliness. We're also going to look at personnel, so we're going to consider training if needed, their competencies and adherence to protocols by staff members. Then you have your quality control plan. So for the development, this is based on risk assessment and is designed, it's a designed tailor plan to monitor and control identified risk. The components of this quality control plan is we have a number and type of QC materials. So this would decide on appropriate control materials and frequency of testing. For criteria for acceptance, so define specific performance criteria and acceptable ranges for control results. And stringency, so establish the rigor of control processes based on risk level. So higher risks are generally going to require more stringent control. For quality assessment, the objective of this is to continuously evaluate the effectiveness of the IQCP plan. Its actions is to monitor control data trends and any deviations, to review incidents and errors to identify areas for any improvement, and then update and modify the IQCP as needed to address new risks or changes in procedures. Quality assurance is a systematic set of planned activities and processes designed to ensure that all systems, procedures, and components involved in producing a product or delivering a service function correctly and consistently. The goal of a quality assurance is to provide confidence that the final product or service meets the required quality standards and specifications. So the purpose is to verify and ensure that all elements influencing quality, such as personnel, equipment, methods, and environment, are operating as intended. Some characteristics is they are proactive and preventative rather than reactive. It involves documentation and standardization of processes. It includes training, audits, and process monitoring, and aims to detect and correct problems before they affect the final product or service. For outcome, we have assurance that products and services meet predefined quality criteria and customer expectations consistently. So quality management provides a comprehensive framework for consistently applying quality principles and practices across all operations within a blood bank. It begins with the selection of blood donors and continues through every step of blood collection, processing, testing, storage, distribution, and ultimately the transfusion outcomes. So quality management uses quality systems essentials as a guide to develop and standardize processes, ensuring consistency and reliability. The system is designed to meet the needs and expectations of all customers, including patients, healthcare providers, regulatory bodies, and accreditation agencies. For regulatory compliance, quality management ensures that all operations comply with relevant regulatory requirements and accreditation standards, reducing risk and improving safety. The goals of quality management is to minimize errors and deviations, promote continuous improvement, enhance patient safety and satisfaction, and to maintain traceability and accountability throughout the blood transfusion process. For QMS essentials, we have the organization, customer focus, facilities and safeties, personnel, purchasing and inventory, and equipment. For processes and management, we use good manufacturing practices that are cited in the CFR. So we would use flowcharts, standard operating procedures or SOPs. We would have validation, process controls, and proficiency testing. We would have documents and records. So we would document control, records management. So we have forms that we can basically go back to and look up every step of the process, and information management. For nonconformance management, so we would have nonconformance reporting and investigation and corrective action. So if there's any issues that do occur, we can have remedial or immediate action, and then corrective action if it's found after the fact. For assessments, we would do internal and external assessments, and this would just be another step to help ensure that we are providing what we say we are and we're doing it to the best of our ability. For continual improvement, so information that is gathered from that quality management activity will provide the facility's leadership with kind of like a report card, if you will, of how well laboratory processes are actually functioning, so that action can be taken to improve any problematic processes. And as mentioned earlier, we would have corrective action and preventive action if there is a process improvement and quality management issue. So we would do corrective action if something had occurred. We would need to either, retrain the person who did it, or maybe look at our policies. Maybe something needs to be updated, and that would kind of fall in line with the preventative action as well. So Six Sigma. So Six Sigma has DMAIC, which is define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. And these are kind of the steps that we would follow for a new process. For Lean, this is to identify non-value added activities that are considered waste. So anything that there's overproduction, if there's any you're moving too much in your process, maybe some waiting time that maybe we don't need anymore. We would perform a 5S, which is sort, set, shine, standardize, and sustain. So laboratory-wide quality management system can be derived from replacing the blood bank path of workflow with the path of workflow of the medical laboratory. All the quality essentials supporting the path of workflow remain the same because these quality elements are universal. A review of the International Organization for Standardization quality standards can demonstrate that blood bank laboratory QSEs are included in the international standards. The practices discussed here may apply equally well to all areas of the hospital laboratories and improve the organization, coordination, and effectiveness of its many, many processes. So the cost of quality, so the conformance cost, which is the cost of good quality. So we have prevention costs. So we may have validation activities or preventative maintenance, work process training. These are all things to try to prevent errors from happening. Then we have appraisal costs. So this is implementing processes and controls to appraise or even evaluate the blood bank or different areas within the lab in their performance. This appraisal can help ensure that problems are caught and then corrected, so hopefully it doesn't get to our customers and or patients. For internal failure costs, so failures that are caught and corrected before they adversely affect customers or patients. So operating funds have been expended and wasted because the activity was not performed correctly the first time. So now you have to go back and redo it. That obviously costs time and money because now you're having to redo it and you're having to use more testing equipment. We also have additional operating funds are then expended to correct the failure, thus eroding the operating budget. External failure costs, so these include both actual and intangible costs incurred to correct a non-conformance that has reached the customer. So this has gone, error went all the way through to the patient now. So other examples can include customer complaint resolution, some misdiagnosis, recalls, and even lawsuits. These events greatly erode the facility's operating budget and definitely erode customer confidence in the facility's quality and credibility. So the importance of a facility quality management system. So obviously this is an important issue, and this is important for a facility to identify its prevention, appraisal, and internal and external failure costs, and use of prevention and appraisal activities to reduce those failure costs. We don't want negative effects or adverse effects happening to our patients. So that's why all of this is extremely important to make sure you're following your SOPs and looking for ways to make it better. So we want to also achieve the standards of excellence necessary for surviving the changes facing the nation's healthcare industry and providing the level of patient safety that our donors and patients both expect and deserve.